guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the Nike Hypervenom Phantom 2 in the Spark Brilliance pack, which is the first colorway to introduce the first generation Nike skin found on the original Hypervenom Phantom. Now, of course, this is the AG stud variation as well, which we'll talk about in the video. Included with the shoes is, of course, a string bag, black in color, black strings, and Volt Yellow Nike branding. They also include this little tag here that essentially lets you know that the graphic printed on the bottom of the sole plate will wear off over time. I have a video specifically on this if you want to see exactly how it wears. I'll leave an annotation on screen. You can go ahead and check that out. And of course, they include the shoes themselves, which I have right here. Bright Volt Yellow in color, not an unfamiliar color from Nike at all. But of course, the interesting aspect of this particular Phantom is that it's the first one to reintroduce the first generation Hypervenom Phantom upper. It's not exactly the same, and I'm going to talk about the differences in today's video. But for those that were big fans of the original Phantom 1, they now have a very similar upper on the Phantom 2, as well as the Hypervenom finish, by the way. And I believe every single colorway of the Hypervenom after this will maintain this newer first generation upper. So in today's video, we're going to go over all the details as far as tech specs and general performance is concerned. We're going to take a look at the weight of the shoe, as well as how they fit and feel on feet. So if you're interested in learning more, please stick around and watch the entire video. If you guys are interested to pair these for yourself, they will become available to the public absolutely everywhere as of May 31st. So stick around for the actual release. In the meantime, if you want to check out the review page on my website, that'll be the very first link down below. As soon as they are available, there will be buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes. We'll be able to pick these guys up for their $275 retail price. As far as I know, even though the price is not announced yet, the retail price will not change. The Phantom 2 will still be $275. So again, May 31st is when they're available. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's go over all the tech specs and changes that they've made with this second generation or second version of the Hypervenom Phantom 2, where they've reverted back to the Phantom 1 Nike skin upper like I have right here. So this is a Hypervenom Phantom 1 with obviously an upper that's not exactly the same as what they've implemented on the Phantom 2, but something that's quite similar. Essentially what it is, it's a honeycomb mesh base. That's what you actually see as far as the texturing is concerned, with a liner on the inside and thin layers of Nike skin or polyurethane fused on top. Now, what's really great about this particular synthetic and what a lot of people liked about it, including myself, is that it's surprisingly soft given how thin it is. It offers kind of a leather-like quality in terms of just how it feels against your foot and how it moves with your foot, where a lot of thin synthetics can feel a little bit more plasticky and just more rigid in general. I want to describe it as sock-like. Obviously, it's different from Flyknit, but it definitely does have a very soft, flexible, natural sensation on your foot. The only downside of this material was the responsiveness, and that's just because it wasn't well reinforced on the inside of the shoe. Now, with the Phantom 2, when they introduced the new model, I should say, they still maintained the Nike skin name, but they changed the upper significantly, and really, that upper does not compare to this one that they've re-implemented on the shoe. The other one, the original one, was a lot thinner and a lot more rigid. It just doesn't have that softness that you got from the original Phantom. Now, essentially what they've done is they've re-implemented the exact same Nike skin material. So as you guys can see, you have pretty much the same honeycomb mesh base to the shoe. You have the same polyurethane layer on top as far as the Nike skin covering is concerned. But what they did change is they introduced flywire cables, which is obviously a design element that's been maintained from the original Hypervenom Phantom 2, and it also has a more significant liner on the inside, which does take away from some of the softness of the material. It's not quite as flexible out of the box as what you're going to find with an original Phantom 1, but it does soften up after some wear time, and it is better in the long run because it does make for a more responsive feel, especially in combination with the flywire cables. So the actual material itself, if you like the touch on the ball provided by the Phantom 1, you're going to get pretty much the exact same touch now from the Phantom 2 or Finish, depending on which variation that you like. The Flywire cables are noticeable when you pull the laces tight. Again, it just kind of reinforces the midfoot. The Flywire cables are not going to stretch. They run into the base of the sole, from the base of the sole into the lacing system. So when you pull the laces tight, it really does a good job of securing your midfoot in place. And the liner, it's just more solid than what we got on the original Phantom 1, a little bit thicker. But like I said, that's going to be better in the long run as far as responsiveness is concerned, because this doesn't have nearly as much rollover as what you got from the original Phantom. It's still a very, very responsive shoe, almost as good as the regular Hypervenom Phantom 2, the original variation, with its much stiffer Nike Skin upper. So again, for those that really didn't like the new Hypervenom Phantom 2 Nike Skin upper, you can now get the original Hypervenom Phantom upper on the Phantom 2 or Finish variations, which I'm personally really, really happy about. I really do prefer this upper over the original Phantom 2 Nike Skin that they introduced. Enough people complained and they ended up changing it, which doesn't happen very often with Nike, but I'm glad that they did revert back to this original upper, because I really do feel that it offers a better experience as far as wearing the shoe is concerned. Other than that, this is just a regular Phantom 2. It has the off-centered lacing system, of course. The texturing on the surface of the upper is pretty much the same as what you got on a Phantom 1. Not too grippy, not too slick either. It does feature ACC all condition control, which you're going to find on all the top-end models from Nike, acting as your wet control element. Instead of a tongue, obviously, like all the other Phantom 2s, you do have the Flyknit material that's elasticated running through the middle where a tongue would normally be. And then, of course, the mid-cut dynamic fit collar. If you don't like the collar, if you don't like the fit in the heel that the mid-cut shoes have from Nike, again, you can go for the Finish variation, which will be the closest thing to the original Phantom in that it'll have the exact same cut as well as the exact same upper, with just a little bit of variation as far as the one-piece construction is concerned. Expect a video on the new variation of the Finish coming very, very soon. Other than that, it's a Phantom 2, so there's not too much to talk about here. The collar, all elasticated. The mid-cut doesn't really offer any kind of performance benefit. It's just a difference in fit and feel. A lot of people think this offers some kind of ankle support. It doesn't. There's not really any rigidity to it. It's just an extension piece on the shoe. And like I said, it does change up the fit in the heel a little bit. That I'll talk about more during the on-feet portion of the video. There is a heel liner as well. It's a smooth synthetic leather with fairly small amounts of padding. You have an internal plastic heel counter. The insole, fully removable, mesh liner on top. Single layer of this ortholite foam, which I actually quite like. It's got some good thickness to it, and the step-in comfort is actually pretty good as far as just regular soccer shoes go. And then, of course, you have the outsole, which is completely unchanged. This happens to be the AG artificial grass variation of the shoe. So this is intended to be used exclusively on artificial grass. And you guys have heard me talk about AG shoes in general. Obviously with Adidas right now, they have their FG AG combination stud patterns, which are great. They're going to hold up pretty well on artificial grass, although they definitely do trend towards being more firm ground stud patterns. The benefit of wearing an artificial grass shoe on artificial grass is not only the performance, and it's not to say that it's going to be better than a firm ground shoe. It's just going to feel like wearing a firm ground shoe on natural grass, but with an AG shoe on artificial grass, if that makes any sense. It just feels like the right stud pattern for that particular surface. It performs really, really well. The traction is very good. All the Nike AG stud patterns are pretty much the same. There's not a lot of variation that you're actually going to notice as far as performance is concerned. It does maintain the same sole plate as you're going to find with a regular Phantom 2, just with a thicker plastic shell on top, just for durability as well as heat reasons. If you've ever played on an outdoor artificial grass field in the summertime, it can get very, very hot. So the extra thickness of the sole plate is kind of necessary in order to just maintain the heat a little bit better. And then the studs themselves, they are rounded in shape, as you guys can see, and they're cored out the middle. The tips of the studs are actually kind of a softer rubber material, and they have a little bit of flexibility to it. And the reason for that is because they don't have the clinginess that you would get from a firm ground stud pattern. When you wear firm ground shoes or even soft ground shoes on artificial grass, they kind of stick when you plant your foot, which can actually be very, very unsafe. This doesn't have that same clingy sensation. Again, it's kind of like wearing firm ground shoes on natural grass. And you're also going to find that the studs themselves are a little bit shorter than what you would find on a firm ground stud pattern for obvious reasons. The artificial grass playing surface just isn't as deep, so you don't need the studs to dig in as far. So having shorter studs makes for better stability. You're never hitting the bottom of the turf, which is also going to be more comfortable. And again, you don't get that clingy sensation either where your foot kind of gets stuck when it's planted, which can lead to some pretty severe injuries. I'm sure a lot of you guys have had or perhaps have seen people have really bad injuries caused by wearing the wrong stud pattern on an artificial grass playing surface. So if you do play on artificial grass exclusively or play a lot on artificial grass in general, I would very strongly recommend using an AG stud pattern on artificial grass. It's the safest way of going about things, which I think is the most important factor, but performance-wise, I definitely prefer wearing AG shoes on artificial grass as well. So that's definitely worth noting, but that's pretty much it as far as what they've changed. Basically, they just took the upper from the original Phantom 1, added some reinforcement with the liner as well as the flywire cables, and didn't change anything else, which is not a bad thing by any means. The only other kind of tweak you're going to find to this shoe, which I believe is exclusive to the AG variation, is this little bit of sandpaper-like texturing you have at the toe here. Again, I don't think the firm ground model will have that. I should have a pair of those on the way very shortly. So stay tuned and I will update you guys on that. But that's pretty much it, guys. I really am happy that they reintroduced this upper, and let me know what you guys think about this change down below in the comment section. As far as weight is concerned, the Phantom 2 is a pretty lightweight shoe to begin with, and the change that they've made to the upper really doesn't make the weight feel any different when the shoes are on your feet. The biggest thing you're going to notice is just the way they feel in general due to the upper being a different type of material, a lot softer and a lot more flexible. So I'm going to weigh this pair for you today in real time using this scale. Keep in mind this is a brand new pair in a size 9 US. We're going to throw them on the scale and you can see that they weigh in at 8.4 ounces, the equivalent of 239 grams. Now keep in mind that this is the AG variation of the shoe, not the FG version. Because it is an AG sole plate and stud pattern, there's just a lot more kind of heft to it. There's more material, there's a lot more studs, and there's a lot more rubber, which is gonna up the weight of the shoe as well. So again, I do have the firm ground variation on the way. Expect to see a video on those go up very soon, and we'll get a more accurate comparison as far as what the weight difference is between the original Phantom 2 and the version 2 Phantom 2. But like I said, don't expect there to be much of a difference between the two variations because, like I said, the actual weight that's in the upper of the shoe is pretty minimal, especially considering they're both thin synthetics. So again, if you are trying to decide between the first generation Phantom 2 and the second generation Phantom 2, weight definitely should not be the deciding factor. It should really be about which type of upper you prefer. Aesthetically, the first generation Nike Skin upper does change the look of the Phantom 2 ever so slightly. Mainly when you're up close. From a distance, it's a lot harder to tell. But I personally don't mind the difference in the look. For me, it's a pretty minor thing, but I'd be curious to hear what your opinions are down below in the comment section. Do you think the first variation of the Phantom 2 looks better with its Nike Skin upper, or this new variation with the first generation Nike Skin upper? I can't say that I really have a preference as far as looks go. As far as the colorway itself is concerned, this is the new Spark Brilliance pack, which Nike is introducing just in time for Euro 2016, as well as the Champions League final, which I believe all these colorways from this pack, including the Superfly 5 that I've shown on my channel, will be the colorways that the pros will be wearing. You can see pictures of the entire pack online in Nike's press release, and expect to see videos on all of those shoes relatively soon as well. But the colorway for the Phantom, or the Hypervenom line I should say, is mostly Volt Yellow in color. So you have that bright neon yellow that some people love, some people absolutely hate. If you're looking to stand out and you just like bright shoes in general, this is the color to do that for you. You have a black Nike swoosh on the front of the shoe as well as on the back. That kind of signature Hypervenom Phantom 2 kind of zigzag pattern with the kind of cracked look on the inside, where it kind of has a bit of a fade to it as well. The heel, as you guys can see, is Volt Yellow in color, and then it fades into this kind of like aqua blue, almost teal color, which I actually think looks pretty good with the Volt Yellow and black. It's not overly complicated, it's just really bright. The mid layer of the Flyknit is also that same kind of light aqua blue color, so when it stretches out on the collar as well as across the top of the foot, it does reveal a little bit of that blue. And of course you do have the fade in the sole plate as well, which isn't super noticeable just because it's so far back. But This does also have the little black graphics printed on the sole plate that will wear off over time, like I mentioned at the start of the video. But again, I'll leave an annotation on the screen to a video where I actually show how the graphic wears away on a pair of Phantom 2s in a different colorway. So you can go ahead and check that out if you are at all interested. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Do you like how this shoe looks? Do you like the colorway in general? Why or why not? And with that being said, let's move on to the on-feet portion of the video so we can get a better idea as to how these shoes fit and of course what the sizing is like. All right, so here is a look at the Phantom 2s on feet. On my left foot I have the stock Volt yellow laces that come with the shoes, and on my right foot I have a pair of black reflective SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. Find a direct link to that website down below in the description of this video. Now, in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, in comparison to version 1 Phantom 2, these are a lot softer and a lot more flexible, at least when you're talking about the upper. The general shape and fit of the shoe is pretty much exactly the same, and honestly pretty similar to the original Phantom 1 as well. The difference in comparison to the first version of the Phantom 2 is that this is, like I said, just a lot softer and a lot more flexible on your feet. And in comparison to the Hypervenom Phantom 1, this is pretty similar. It's not quite as soft out of the box, and that has to do with the more significant liner. But once the shoes are broken in, once you give them a few hours of wear time, they'll feel actually pretty similar to that of the Phantom 1, which I think is what a lot of people are looking for. But with the more significant liner as well as the flywire cables, these do have a more secure sensation on feet. They're not quite as wide. And a lot of that has to do just with the change of the shape and the change of the cut in the upper, just not being exactly the same as what we got on the Phantom 1. So the general fit and shape of the shoe is very similar to the first version of the Phantom 2, but the feel of the upper is a lot more like the original Phantom 1. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds, in my opinion, and this will definitely be a much more responsive product in comparison to the original Phantom as well, despite having the same material as the base for the upper. As far as fit is concerned, like I said, it is a tighter fitting shoe and it has the same kind of fit characteristics as the original first version of the Phantom 2. It's a tight shoe. Not a lot of stretch you're going to find from this particular shoe, especially where the flywire is located, just because those cables aren't going to stretch. A little bit in the toe box, but again, the more significant liner does help to kind of reduce the shoe from overstretching and having a lot of rollover. So for the most part, it won't be quite as wide as what you found from the Phantom 1, but it will be fairly similar once the shoe is broken in. So again, if you really like that particular feel, you're going to get that now from the second variation of the Phantom 2 and Finish models. Width-wise, they'll be suitable for most people if you like tighter fitting shoes, but I wouldn't say that they are extremely wide. So just keep that in mind if you are planning on picking these up. As far as sizing is concerned, just like all the other Phantom models, they do run true to size. I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. All right, guys, that is it for my review of the Spark Brilliance Nike Hypervenom Phantom 2 with the new version 2 upper that is, of course, taken from the Hypervenom Phantom 1. If you guys are interested in a pair of these for yourself, like I mentioned at the start of the video, they will be available as of May 31st on the review page of my website, which will be the very first link down below in the description of this video. If you want to check out that page right now, what you will find are the high quality images of this exact pair that I took myself. That'll give you a better idea as to how they actually do look in person. And depending on when you watch this video, you'll also find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these guys up below their normal retail price. If you have any questions at all regarding this variation of the Phantom 2, given that it does have a different upper now, leave your questions down below in the comment section and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching.